Hello there and welcome to Quick Learn Photography, straight to the point videos that teach you everything that I've learned in over the last 10 years of professional photography. My name's James, and in this one we're going to talk about compression, and by the end of this video you're going to know what it is and how to use it. Now, compression is a really good technique to learn in photography, and it doesn't have to cost a fortune. You don't have to go and buy crazy expensive lenses to get the effect of compression. Now, it's a physical thing with lenses, okay? It's a physical thing. It's not some kind of special effect or anything like that. Compression can be a really good tool to use if you want to up your game in photography. And like I said, it doesn't have to be really expensive. Now, you've probably seen a lot of photos where the background behind the subject is blurry. That's called bokeh or shallow depth of field, which is a really great effect to do. And mobile phones do it as well. They kind of do it artificially behind you. So blurring the background out is great. It really makes your subject pop. Let's say it's a portrait of somebody you're doing and the background's all nice and blurry. Lovely. Now, you sometimes need a really wide aperture for that. Now, I've done a previous video on prime lenses and zoom lenses with wider apertures where the background's more blurry with that shallow depth of field. Now, they can be quite expensive, and also prime lenses, they're sort of fixed. You can't zoom with them, but you can get that really wide aperture, therefore the background will become more and more blurry. So do you need one of these sort of lenses to do that? Lenses with a really wide aperture. Like this one here, this is a constant f2.8 and it zooms to 200mm. So that's great. f2.8 is a really wide aperture. You can absolutely destroy the background and really isolate the subject. Do you need one of these to have the effect? Well, not really. That's what I'm going to talk about. I really like compression and compressed shots and the effect that it can give. So what compression is doing is when you zoom with any kind of lens, even a cheap lens, and I'm going to demonstrate with this one here. I've mentioned it before in some of my previous videos. I bought this for traveling. It's a cheap lens, a Tamron plasticky lens, but it's done some great shots. But this will zoom to 300mm, okay? So you can really zoom with this. So that's great to see things in a distance like a pair of binoculars, but that's not the effect we're after. You can zoom onto things and get compression and really make the subject pop and stand out more in the image. You can even do it with the cheapest of lenses, which are the kit lenses like this. Doesn't zoom as much as the previous one, but this zooms to a fair amount. So yeah, you can zoom and see a little bit closer, but if you get closer to the subject and zoom, even with a cheap kit lens like this, you can get compression. So I'm going to demonstrate soon exactly what that is. Now, you don't have to have one of these really fancy expensive lenses to get compression. Like I said, just start with any zoom lenses, and zoom lenses can be quite cheap if they're a variable aperture zoom lens. If you don't know what that is, then check out this video here that I did on zoom lenses and the difference between variable apertures and fixed apertures. So to break it down again, this one is a variable aperture. So it starts at f3.5 in the aperture. As you start to zoom, no matter what you do, the aperture will start shrinking down to f5.6. It will get smaller and smaller, so you lose light. This one, and ones like it, when you zoom, it's an internal zoom. It's a wide aperture f2.8 if you want, and it will stay that way. It won't deviate from f2.8. They're more expensive. And also, look at the size of it. Lugging that around is no fun at all, especially if you're traveling. So, the way to get compression is to get maximum zoom with any cheap zoom lens, and they can be really cheap, okay? And get as close to the subject as possible and focus on that. And that will cause compression, and the background will be really blurry because it's going to absolutely pop that image. Yes, the aperture will go down to f5.6 or 6.3 like this cheap one. It's not a great aperture, but the closer you get to the subject, it really makes the image pop. So let me break that down again. You zoom max, or whatever you feel the zoom is appropriate, and focus as close as the subject as possible. Now, the reason why it's called compression is because it will literally compress the background to the subject, like this. So, have you ever seen those images of perhaps a cityscape lit up at night and the moon is behind one of the buildings, the skyscraper, and the moon looks massive? That's not like digitally enhanced or anything. That's a colossal zoom, like the size of a trombone, that's zoomed right into that cityscape, and it's pulled the moon in and compressed it like this, okay? So it draws the subject in. I'm going to demonstrate this in a minute, not with the moon, but with subjects, okay? So if you go close to a subject with a wide angle lens, the background is going to disappear, absolutely disappear. So if you zoom into a subject, the subject doesn't change in shape or size or height if you get the same framing, but if you zoom, the background is like sucked in real tight and close, and it gives it that kind of pop image. And I've used it for years and years and years, not with pro lenses or expensive lenses. Even my first zoom lens, I think it was a Nikon 55-200. It cost about £70, I think. And I was getting some great compressed images with that. And this thing as well, which I take traveling on, a Nikon, this has done some amazing compressed images, really, really pulled the subject, the background in, and it just makes your image pop. So let me explain that again. So the lens that I'm on now is a wide angle lens, it's a 20mm, okay? So if I go really close, the background's quite small, it kind of disappears. No matter what I do, if I put my hand there, the background stays the same, okay? It doesn't change. When I demonstrate on a minute with a zoom lens, it will pull the background in. So if I was videoing me with a zoom lens now, say I was at 200mm and a bit further away, and it was still locked onto my face, and everything was the same size, head, shape. If I was the same dimensions in the middle of the frame like I am now, I can see myself on the screen, okay, but I was zoomed, that background there would be right up close to the back of my head, because it will like pull everything in really, really tight. Now this is great for portraits as well, because as long as you've got enough light to play around with, if you zoom with a cheaper lens like this and it goes to f5.6 or 6.3, which is a smaller aperture, it doesn't let a lot of light in. If it's outside in daylight, it's no problem at all. It will still destroy the background and make the subject really, really pop. So really give this a go. We're going to talk about, I'm going to demonstrate in a minute, but zooms aren't just for zooming. They're not just for seeing things further away. It's great for that if you're like a bird watcher or something like that. But they're also for really pulling in and popping the subject with compression. It's a really, really good technique to get to grips with. I think even phones do it a lot now. A lot of phones have zooms on them. So give it a go with that. Get as close as to the subject. Say you, I don't know, a bunch of flowers or something. Put a bunch of flowers there. I'm going to demonstrate all this in a minute. Zoom on it and get as close as you can before the focus starts tapping out, saying I can't focus anymore because we're too close, and see what it does to the background. It literally pulls everything back in. So let's have a look now with the demonstration of compression, and I'll show you how it works. Okay, so what I'm going to do this handheld. We're using our trusty model here, and we're going to fill the frame like a portrait, okay? So just her sort of head and shoulders, okay? What I want you to take note of is the stereo in the background. Now I'm really close to this, just about a hand width to the front of the lens, which is here. So really, really close, nice and wide, and we're on a variable aperture zoom. So it goes from 28mm to 200. So take note of the stereo, okay? So I'm going to go back now and zoom as I do it. So now we're up to 70mm, so let's fill the frame with our head, 70mm, okay? So that's quite common on kit lenses, 18-55, which is a 70mm equivalent. So we're filling the frame with our head, but look at the stereo in the background, it's got bigger because it's pulling the background in. So let's go back even more now to 100mm. Let's compose to the right a little bit. So look at the stereo, still focusing on our eye, so the stereo is getting bigger. Let's go to 150mm. So we're still filling the frame with our head, but look at the stereo now. Right, let's go back even more to 200mm. There. Look at the size of the stereo. It's really pulled the background in. That's compression. So let's go forward and zoom out into the wide one again. Yeah, look at the stereo shrinking, shrinking, shrinking. There. So the background's far away, and now we're sucking the background in. See that? That's compression. So I hope that sinks in. And you can see what it does to her face as well. So it's sort of like, it's quite flat there, but if we go to the wide, then it kind of distorts it a bit. So you've got to be careful with that, because you can get sort of a bit of a horse face with people if you shoot wide close up. So yeah, that's compression, tiny little stereo in the background. And then we pull it in, and now it's a massive stereo in the background with the subject filling up the same sort of space. So I hope that helps. So that was compression. I hope it helped, just showing you the physics of what it can do, and that can really, really make your images stand out. And like I said, you do not have to have a really expensive lens with a huge aperture to make the subject pop. It's brilliant for portraits. It really, really is. It's such a good thing to do. And anything, whether it's food photography, product photography, whatever it is you're doing, it can really make things pop. It's quite popular with landscape photographers. They take zooms with them, not to see things far away in the distance again, but they'll zoom in on a mountain or a tree, and it'll really pull the background behind them and really make that image pop. That's quite a popular thing to do with landscape photography, is compression. So give it a go. Lots of practice, 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 practice. You don't have to buy expensive lenses for this at all. Just get a basic zoom lens, a variable aperture zoom lens. And again, if you don't know what variable aperture is, watch the video I did on zooms, and it will explain that and why they're cheaper. Give it a go and your images will pop. Really, really good thing to do, compression. So I hope this video helped, and like I said, practice, 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 just like I did for many years, practice. Also, if you want more tuition, if you want a one-to-one tuition, I'm offering that now. The link is down below. If you want to work with me on a one-to-one call on Zoom, any sort of techniques you're struggling with or anything, and you want some real one-to-one tuitions, then get in touch below, and perhaps we can arrange that if you want to work alongside with me. But again, thanks for watching, and I hope that helped.